Get the...
Hello all, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Deanie, and today we are diving right back into Five Nights at Freddy's sister location, and digging up all the details that are hidden away behind walls of secrecy. In the last video, we covered the main 5 nights, and today we're going to talk about the minigames, the fake ending, the custom night, the cutscenes, the Immortal and the Restless, Easter eggs, and how this all fits into our timeline for the series. This is part 8 of my series on solving FNAF completely blind, and if you've been enjoying this series, I invite you to like and subscribe for more of this down the line. We've somehow blown past my initial goal of 250 subscribers before the end of the summer, so I say go big or go home. I'm now aiming at 500. Without further ado, let's start our investigation with the secret Circus Baby minigame. After getting a game over, there's a chance that you will be transported to a little minigame. In the game, you play a Circus Baby, and need to collect cupcakes to give to hungry children. When playing for the first time, I simply tried my best to make every child happy, and then reached the goal sign at the end of the level, akin to Sonic the Hedgehog. Doing so wins the minigame, but there is something else you can do. If you carefully maneuver across the platforms and manage to get every child happy with cupcakes, an ice cream cone power-up will appear by the goalpost. Instead of going to the goal, Circus Baby can travel all the way back to the beginning of the level, and then... Circus Baby lays an ice cream cone out for this little green-eyed girl, and when she approaches, Circus Baby grabs her with a claw inside of her stomach, and presumably the girl dies inside of Circus Baby. This scene is an almost one-to-one recreation of the story that Baby told us on night 3. Circus Baby stopped functioning normally when her programming noticed that there was only one child in the room, one little girl. She stopped being able to move, and she produced an ice cream cone. When the girl approached, there was screaming, but only for a moment. I believe what we are seeing is a depiction of the death of Mr. Afton's daughter, whose voice we hear before every night, as her presence haunts the very rooms and vents we crawl through. If you recall, we know that the little girl's voice is Mr. Afton's daughter, because she talks to her father, the creator of the animatronics, and we know that this is the girl Circus Baby attacked because of her dialogue matching Baby's story about the one time she was on stage. You'll notice one strange detail about Circus Baby in this game. She has bright blue eyes. In contrast, the baby we see in the render, as well as in the trailers, has bright green eyes. The difference here is not an accident. The little girl who died within Circus Baby had bright green eyes. This change is a direct detail telling us that Circus Baby is possessed by the spirit of Mr. Afton's daughter. But what exactly is this game? In previous videos, I've speculated that the little mini-games we play throughout the entire FNAF series are in-universe video games produced by Fazbear Entertainment that are being corrupted by supernatural forces, either to bring peace to lost souls or to show the reality of their suffering to those who are still alive. So, we have a few questions. Who is altering this game? In the past, I've theorized that it's been mostly the puppet doing this alongside Golden Freddy. In this case, I believe it's the Circus Baby herself changing the games, as she shows her own brutal demise. But who is she showing it to, and why? For that, we have to keep digging. Once you get this secret ending with Mr. Afton's daughter, who I will be calling Little Sister for consistency, you obtain an item, a keycard. A keycard that allows us to unlock a secret, fake ending.
You must let us inside the room.
With the keycard, you can disobey Ennard's instructions in Night 5 to go into the private room rather than the scooping room. The private room is marked on the blueprint map in the Extras menu. Upon entering, Hand Unit has this to say.
It seems that you have accidentally wandered into a restricted area. Due to the sensitive nature of the materials that you may be exposed to here, you will not be allowed to leave until the cleanup crew arrives at 6 a.m. So hang tight. Rest assured that you will be promptly rescued, fired, then sent home. Thank you for being an employee. We hope that your experience has not been as regrettable as ours.
There's a lot to unpack there. First of all, this area has extra security precautions causing it to be basically unreachable in normal circumstances. Whatever this private room is for, it's extremely private, and there are secrets that can't be public. We are under no circumstances allowed to leave with knowledge of this room, at least not before the company gets a hold of us. Whoever programmed Hand Unit made sure that this came across very clearly. Second of all, a cleanup crew is on the way. This means that the hand unit called a cleanup crew, which means it knows about the 2 technicians getting scooped. So whatever hand unit was telling us during night 5 was complete BS, because it would have definitely not let us inside if it was acting normally and was able to act on the fact that the technicians are dead. But hand unit was likely too corrupted by Baby to do what it's meant to, until Ennard is formed, and then it goes back to normal programming. After being promptly fired, we get introduced to the actual private room. It's a small office with 3 monitors and 3 entryways, a door on each side of you and a vent above the desk. There is some trash and a cup on the desk, extremely reminiscent of FNAF 1. I think this whole room is a big love letter to the history of FNAF, and it kind of warmed my heart when I saw it. For some reason, I got a bit emotional looking upon this room and thinking back on the journey thus far. We're back to that lovely horror survival gameplay. Besides that, we've got a few details that really raised my eyebrows. The first one is extremely strange to me. There is a little plush Fredbear alongside a radio or transmitter in its lap. This is clearly looking back to the minigames of FNAF 4, where a Fredbear plush guided little brother the best it could. There's a whole lot I could glean from this, but I think I'll wait till I have more information. If I'm being honest, this sorta broke my entire view of FNAF 4. Adding even more fuel to this fire is an Easter egg you can activate by typing 1983 onto this little keypad. Once you do, the monitors light up showing 3 images. 3 images of the FNAF 4 house. What the actual fuck? What the fuck? Huh? What? What the fuck? This makes no sense at all with my previous theories, which means somewhere along the way, I really messed up. The FNAF 4 house is real. This is a massive, massive reveal, and something I need some more information to truly understand. While in this office, Ennard will hunt you down, and it's your job to conserve power, watch them on cameras, and close the doors to keep them out until your rescue at 6 a.m. During this hunt, Ennard will speak to you in 2 distinct voices. The first voice is that of Circus Baby.
Why didn't you trust me? Why didn't you believe me? Sometimes I don't understand why people do the things that they do. I thought you liked me. I thought I did everything right. We don't want to hurt anyone, but we need you. We need you so that we can leave. We need you so that we can hide. We need you so that we can look like you. If they find us like this, we won't be able to try again. If they find us like this, we won't be able to try again. You must help us. You must let us inside the room. You must let us inside the room. Isn't this why you came here? To be with her again? I don't understand. You won't die, and it will only hurt for a moment. I will find a way out.
These lines paint a pretty clear narrative. After not listening to Ennard, speaking through Baby's voice in Night 5, they are angry and questioning. Some part of Baby's naivete continues to remain inside of Ennard's combined consciousness. And if it's true that there are multiple children spirits within this robot, then the collection of those spirits would likely be tangled, unsure, immature, rash. These spirits need to leave, and they need our body to do it. This is their last chance, as they can't go back to being their normal animatronic selves after turning into this horrible Frankenstein's monster animatronic. Now, there are some more interesting lines. The first to catch my attention was, "Isn't this why you came here? To be with her again?" This dialogue implies something pretty huge. It implies that the player character is looking for someone, looking for a girl, and the only real option for who that girl could be is the little sister haunting Circus Baby. So, that likely makes us one of 2 people. We're either Big Brother or Mr. Afton, the older brother and father of little sister respectively. Whoever we are playing, we went down with a purpose, looking to find little sister to be with her again. It's why we kept coming back, night after night, not screaming for help in Night 4, not fighting the scheme that Baby was pursuing. We came to this bunker to help little sister. The second line to grab me was, "You won't die, it will only hurt for a moment." This is mighty interesting. It implies to me that the scooper is not meant to be a mortal wound for the player character, but something to just leave enough room for Ennard to enter. The host body will remain alive, somehow. Perhaps that's to do with something supernatural, or the scooper isn't as violent as I once thought. The other option is that Ennard doesn't realize that the scooper will in fact kill us, because the animatronics within Ennard have been scooped multiple times and they've lived to tell the tale. Either way, the second voice that Ennard speaks in is even more diabolical than the last. Ennard speaks in the voice of the deceased little sister.
Hello? 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 I don't understand. I don't understand. You have to let me inside the room. We need you so that we can leave. We need you so that we can hide. I know it was an accident. Isn't this why you came here? To be with me again. Everything is okay. I'm still here.
This is pretty cruel on the side of Ennard. No matter which of the two Aftons we are, this taunt is evil. 3 lines are important here. The first is, I know it was an accident. This line, in my eyes, heavily implies the player character to be Mr. Afton. Why would little sister say this if she wasn't trying to make us feel better? As if her death was somehow our fault. But really, if we are Mr. Afton, her death was our fault. The creation of Circus Baby was strictly made to be harmful towards children, and the fact that the victim happened to be his daughter does not make him any less of a villain here. The next 2 lines, isn't this why you came here, to be with me again, and everything is okay, I'm still here, shows that little sister is questioning her father as well as comforting him, saying that she is still here. While yes, she is still there somewhere in Ennard, this is a manipulation of Ennard to get Mr. Afton to let them in. Ennard's intentions are clear here still. They need a human body to inhabit. If you happen to survive, you go home, and Ennard somehow follows you up the elevator and clawing his way towards you as the screen fades to black. Now, future details will show that this ending is not the one that actually happened. The ending that did happen canonically was the player character getting scooped and Ennard using it as a skin suit. This ending shows that Ennard failed, but still clawed its way to the outside world, ready to take you apart in rage. It clearly sustained some damage on its way up since it can't walk, likely from having to squeeze in the vents and the elevator shaft. Either way, this didn't happen, but that does not mean this ending is to be discarded completely. The private room does exist, and if the events played out in this alternate Night 5, Ennard would still have acted the same way, which means conclusions reached from details of the fake ending are still valid. There are absolute bombshells of lore in this ending, but let's collect all the information before coming to any definitive conclusion. Next up is the Custom Night. This game's Custom Night is not exactly custom, but rather different challenges with preset animatronic difficulties, the final challenge being the Golden Freddy challenge where all animatronics are active. Now, these custom nights have, to my knowledge, been confirmed to not be canon to the story, and I was convinced of that narrative by the 1983 Easter egg no longer working. However, there are things we can still glean from these nights. Not all the information is unusable. The custom night actually takes place in the private room as seen in the fake ending, but rather than Ennard coming to kill you, it's a selection of 10 animatronics. Ballora is back, and will start to play her music. You must listen for what side she is on and close that door. Her jump scare is a little different in this part of the game, as the faceplates don't open up, exposing a horrible set of teeth. I'm curious as to why this is. Perhaps Ballora was more angered at us on night 2, since we were intruding in her space. If you remember, she treats this place as a sanctuary and as a prison, her complicated thoughts on it likely manifesting in rage when it's tampered with, which is why she seems more aggressive there than in the private room. She's also one of the few animatronics to get new voice lines for the custom night. Here they are.
Save me a dance for another day, perhaps. All I do is dance alone, but now I hear your flesh and bone. I roam these halls alone all day, but now you're here, friend and prey.
That first line will come back later, but for me, feels like more proof that the player character is Mr. Afton. Her new song that she sings reiterates her loneliness, the depression she feels locked up down here. But our presence has changed that, given her a purpose. The final lyric, calling us friend or prey, is very interesting. Prey is of course in reference to the fact that she's actively hunting us, but friend? In what way are we a friend? For me, I think this is a hint towards Bellora's and our identity, but we'll get back to that later. Funtime Freddy will be on either side of your door, and you must listen to his speech to determine your next move. If he mentions sending Bonbon, you have to close the door that he's near. If he says something about a surprise, you must close the opposite door. Funtime Freddy also has some new dialogue.
Well, hello again! Are you ready for round 2? Bon, let's not keep our friend waiting! Knock, knock! Anybody home? Oh, birthday boy! Ready or not, here I come! Get ready for a surprise! Bon, go get him! Hey, Bon, go get him! What a party pooper!
Most of these lines are more taunts similar to Night 2. I continue to believe that these are stock lines fed into Funtime Freddy's programming, and are the only things he can say, either because of said programming, or because of that weird not power module we took out during Night 2, stifling him. As a result, all he can do is say these lines in the angriest tone he can muster. I do really like Funtime Freddy's voice, as I've said before. It's so ridiculously over the top and nerve-wracking to hear creeping closer. 2 lines from him caught my eye a little. The first is, "Ooh, birthday boy." This is the second time Funtime Freddy has mentioned the birthday boy, and with references to FNAF 4 riddled about, I don't think this is an accident. This is clearly referring to Little Brother, a connection that I haven't figured out yet. If we are playing as either Mr. Afton or Big Brother, this line would be a perfect taunt, reminding us of our deceased son/brother, which would definitely put us in a vulnerable state. We also get the line, "Are you ready for round 2? This, to me, indicates that this night is meant to be a continuation of the main story of Sister Location. Obviously, it can't be because Enner's existence breaks the whole scenario, but with suspension of disbelief, the custom night is meant to be after the main game, as the same player character. This is important, as we will know that the animatronics are talking to the same person as before. The next character is a new one, and a very strange one. Yendo will appear in the office and will jump scare you unless you get rid of him by flipping the monitor up and down. Yendo has the appearance of Funtime Freddy without his shell, almost exactly like the design we see in the extras menu of the development of Funtime Freddy. His mechanic in the game is very similar to Golden Freddy, needing to break your eye contact connection with him to make him go away. He even has golden eyes, and is in the shape of a bear. However, his jump scare is definitely more physical than supernatural, getting in your face and moving his body, which Golden Freddy cannot do. To me, Yendo is a spare Funtime Freddy animatronic somewhere in the building that is animated by none other than Golden Freddy. Now, I know that's a huge stretch, but Funtime Freddy doesn't have yellow eyes, and as we've seen before from Circus Baby, eye color does matter. Now, do I think that the Golden Freddy spirit is literally in this animatronic? No, not at all. In fact, I don't think Golden Freddy is even in the building, but it does have all the hallmarks of Golden Freddy's influence, like he's messing around with this thing to attack us. Either that, or it's simply an endoskeleton that is acting erratically, similar to Endo 01 and 02 of FNAF 1 and 2 respectively. Funtime Foxy has a similar mechanic to FNAF 1 Foxy, where you have to look at his curtain to slow down his progress towards you. He can creep out of the curtain, and you have to block the door to avoid being killed. As said in my previous video, I think there is a link between the Foxies of all these games. Like there's a hidden person dictating the specific characteristics of their attacks from the background. Either way, she's a simple animatronic to beat, and the only difference between her here and in the main game is that she is no longer twitching, and her faceplates don't open up when she jump scares you, similar to Bellora. This pattern is interesting to me, as it implies that Circus Baby's influence is actually the thing causing the other animatronics to act more aggressive, to act more erratic. I'll talk about this later, but Circus Baby is nowhere to be found in the custom night, and her absence might be allowing the other animatronics more freedom over their actions rather than following Circus Baby's orders. Bonette is a character very similar to Bonbon, just pink, that will move across the office. You have to click her nose to avoid her jump scaring you. Similar to Bonbon, I quite like Bonette's design. It's cute, but also uncanny. I think this is likely just another hand puppet for Funtime Freddy. It's possible they switch out for each other when it's a girl's birthday versus a boy's birthday. We only ever hear Funtime Freddy mention a birthday boy, so maybe the birthday girl voice lines are locked behind something that unlocks when Bonnet is attached. Besides that, there's another interesting design detail that caught my eye with Bonnet. Look at Bonnet and Bonbon together, pink and blue. the same color schemes as the bedrooms of little brother and little sister. Whether intentional or not, to me, this is another clue that the daughter of Mr. Afton that lives inside Circus Baby is indeed the missing little sister from FNAF 4. Perhaps these two were even twin siblings, as can be seen by their near identical rooms and identical animatronics representing them, the birthday boy and the birthday girl. The same birthday. Biddy Bab will show up in the vent in the office, and you have to close the vent to keep her out. Electro Bab, which just looks like a Biddy Bab with glowing eyes, will start to drain your power, and you must provide a controlled shock to make them go away. It's interesting to me that there is an option to controlled shock somebody through the cameras. It's almost like this area was made to be a safe haven if the animatronics ever got too rowdy. Lolbit is another new character, and is extremely strange. It takes the appearance of Funtime Foxy, but with purple and yellow highlights, two colors that are quite important to the story. Lolbit will appear on your monitors, and you must type LOL to make them go away. Otherwise, they will block your screen with a big logo and start making a loud static sound. The image that will show up is a test pattern, as seen on old TVs, that were used to make sure channels that weren't actively airing shows were still functional. Even the text, "Please stand by," is the same message that they would broadcast back then. I don't even know what to think about Lolbit. It's a strange character with a strange mechanic. I think the author of these games does have a bit of vitriol aimed at younger people, specifically millennials, and it comes out in his humor, so making the player type LOL to get rid of a threat might be referencing that. In terms of the TV motif, I'm not sure. Perhaps it's a reference to the Fredbear and Friends show in FNAF 4, but that's a major stretch. I really don't know what to think about Lolbit at all. The mini-arenas can show up and deprive you of oxygen, and you must controlled shock them in the cameras to make them go away. When you do shock them, it looks like they just dissolve into mist. We've seen the mini-arenas before, but never in this ghostly fashion. It's strange, but perhaps just a design detail to make it clear that they're no longer a threat. And finally, Mini-Arena 2 will start collecting over your face, blocking your view in the office. It's annoying, but not actually a threat. Curiously, Circus Baby is missing from the roster here. We have heard from Ennard that the Scooper was not meant to kill us, so I have a pet theory here that Circus Baby isn't here by her own choice. She doesn't want to have to kill us. We are her family. If we are Mr. Afton or Big Brother, Circus Baby doesn't want to actively kill us. Even so, she has grown so desperate in her stay down here that she compromised just to scoop us, not kill us. Now, there's one detail we haven't had the chance to discuss yet about these custom nights. Where exactly are we? During the fake ending and the custom night, we get a glimpse of this new area of the bunker. In camera 1, we see the left hallway with black and white checkered floors, the same floors iconic to the Freddy Fazbear's Pizza restaurants. In camera 2, we see the left hallway. In cameras 3 and 4, we see the closets on the left and right respectively. Camera 5 shows us the vent, and camera 6 and 7 shows us the far corners of the map, with camera 7 having a Pirate's Cove adjacent curtain that Funtime Foxy emerges from. And where you are, the security office, is the central hub. This is nearly the exact layout of the FNAF 1 pizzeria, and it's also a layout we see in these cameras, but also in the breaker room map, in the exact location as the private room in the extras menu map. So this is for sure a section of the bunker, but why would there be a fake restaurant deep underground? What is the purpose of this area? This cannot be the restaurant that Circus Baby talks about that was open for only one day, as there are many children there, and there's no way that many children came underground to hang out in a place deep in the earth. So what is this place? I truly don't know. It's a mystery to me so far. But that's the end of the custom night and all details within it, except for one thing. When beating each challenge mode, you're rewarded with something. A short cutscene. I think it's about time we go over those.
I should be dead, but I'm not.
After beating the challenges in the custom night, the player is shown a series of cutscenes. The scenes show a man in a purple shirt walking down the steps of his house in his neighborhood. He walks down the street and all his neighbors say hello, and all is well. As the days go on, however, things begin to go awry. The man begins growing paler, more greenish. After a bit more time, his skin begins to rot away, turning a horrible purple color. His posture and ability to walk becomes weakened, and it looks like he's a zombie. He reaches a sewer grate and begins to convulse as Ennard plans his escape. The body vomits Ennard into the sewer and the body slumps down. But that is not the end of the story. The voice of Circus Baby echoes from the sewers. You won't die. The body gets back up as the remains of Ennard looks on. Two undead creatures free in the world. These cutscenes are really interesting. They're in the 8-bit style as the rest of the minigames of this franchise, but you can't actually control anything, perhaps representing the fact that the main character is being controlled by another entity. It's clear that this person is the player character of Sister Location, the one who was scooped, the one Ennard is now inhabiting. After the final cutscene of the main game, where we see Ennard within us, the cutscenes we just saw begin to occur. Ennard enjoys living as a human for a while, but it's a temporary thing. The person's body that they are inhabiting is rotting away, the skin suit falling apart. After a while, the illusion begins to fade, and Ennard's normal life crumbles. Without another option, Ennard ejects into the world, into the sewers to hide, roaming free. But Ennard's promise was not a falsehood. The player character was alive this entire time, somehow still conscious during this experience. He experienced what these animatronics experience, your mind not being able to control your body. But as Ennard escapes, the final breaths of life finally leave the player character, and he crumbles to the ground. But if you look at what actually comes out of the body, it was clearly not all of Ennard. It was the parts that likely held the consciousness of the original animatronics. Some parts were still left inside. And as we know, when a person dies in proximity to an animatronic suit, they start to possess it. The player character died, then possessed the remaining robotic components left within him. You can see it in the way he gets up. It's mechanical, and his eyes begin to glow as Ennard's once did. The player character has effectively possessed his own dead body. This is honestly really cool. It's such a crazy concept, and the inevitable endpoint of the rules of possession that this series has set up. The story here is pretty clear, but the ideas within are wild. There is one final cutscene though, unlocked after beating the Golden Freddy challenge. We hear a familiar but slightly different male British voice. Let's go over this piece by piece.
Father, it's me, Michael. I did it. I found it. It was right where you said it would be. They were all there. They didn't recognize me at first, but then they thought I was you.
So, this is a pretty big bombshell. Every hint that alluded to the player character being Mr. Afton seems to be an error on my part, since all those hints were coming from the animatronics. The animatronics that thought the player character was Mr. Afton, the father, when it was in fact Michael. And who is this Michael? This has to be Michael Afton, aka Mike Schmidt, aka Fritz Smith, aka Big Brother. The animatronics thought that Michael was his father, Mr. Afton, since they surely look similar, and Michael was sent down here by his father, by Mr. Afton, to go looking for something. But what?
And I found her. I put her back together, just like you asked me to. She's free now.
Michael was sent by his father, Mr. Afton, to go down into the bunker and find little sister, to free her, to help all of the animatronics down in the facility. That's why Michael never left. It's why Michael kept coming back. His mission was to free her, and free her he did, by allowing her and the rest of the animatronic spirits to hitch a ride back into the free world. Even if the charade didn't last that long, she is still free, somewhere.
But something is wrong with me. I should be dead, but I'm not. I've been living in shadows.
This is the end of the last series of cutscenes from Michael's perspective. After living with Ennard for a while, dying, and possessing the robotic components within his own body, Michael is alive once more. But this horrible, rotting appearance forces him to live in the shadows, to live in the darkness of the world, just like his sister, hiding.
There is only one thing left for me to do now. I'm going to come find you. I'm going to come find you.
Oh my god. Michael has been tasked with a new mission now, one not brought on by his father's wishes, but by his deeds. Michael is on a mission to find his father who he now knows has been committing heinous acts uncovered by his investigation in the bunker. Michael knows what his father has done. Michael knows that his father is the killer. What an incredible lore drop that is. Michael Afton, the main character of this saga to an extent, is the son of the killer, as are little sister and little brother. And judging by the fact that Michael calls him father out of instinct, it's clear that this man ran his household with an iron grip, when he was there at least. There is so much here to unpack and look back on the other games with this new context, but we must continue forward for now. Let's discuss the Immortal and the Restless.
You need to be part of your son's life!
Between nights, Michael goes home to watch some television, with some interesting metaphors at play. The living room in which he watches TV is very normal, except for one detail. The lamp next to his TV is the exact lamp we see in the FNAF 4 house. And now that we know that that's real, that's certainly something to look into. Let's roll into the first episode, which occurs after night 1.
Another day, another dramatic entry in the lives of Vlad and his distressed mistress. Where will they go? What will they do? All of that and more happening now.
Clara, I tell you, the baby isn't mine.
Count, I tell you that it is. You're the only vampire I've ever loved. And the baby turns his bottles into powdered milk.
That doesn't mean anything.
He sleeps on the ceiling fan.
Upright or upside down?
What does it matter? You need to be part of your son's life.
I'm an old man, Clara. I can't be a father.
Well, then at least pay your child support, you deadbeat!
Will Vlad and his distressed mistress find common ground? Tune in next time.
This is obviously humorous and a nice break between nights to chill out a little bit, but I do think there's more to this show than meets the eye. Let's talk about that title, the Immortal and the Restless. Those adjectives describe a lot of characters in this story, basically all of the animatronics and most, if not all, of the Afton family. The character of Vlad, to me, seems to represent the character of Mr. Afton. I think this because of a few reasons. The first of which is that he has an accent. In this game, it seems to me like we are meant to pay attention to the voices of the human characters, and Mr. Afton has an accent as well, but a British one. I think this is supposed to show that Vlad and Mr. Afton both traveled to America, since they only seem to talk to American people. The second reason is that he has a son. This could very well represent the situation that Mr. Afton was in when first moving to America, falling in love with someone and then being a neglectful father, to his also undead child. We know that Mr. Afton turned into Springtrap, and Michael also is a possessed corpse. Both are undead, both are immortal, both are restless. Not only that, but every episode points out the similarities between the two, and what do the animatronics think when Michael enters the bunker? They think he is Mr. Afton, because they are so similar. And, a bit more superficially, Vlad and the baby are both purple. In most of the minigames, Mr. Afton is depicted as a purple guy, and in this game, Michael literally turns purple. And on top of all of this, the two are vampires. Killers. We of course know of Mr. Afton's crimes, but what about the baby vampire, Michael? He accidentally killed his own little brother. Now, another idea is that when referring to the baby, Vlad is metaphorically referring to Circus Baby, as in his daughter. While this does make a lot of sense, as this is the game that has Circus Baby in it, the connections between Mr. Afton and Michael being Vlad and the baby are too strong for me to believe that that was the intended metaphor. But then the question becomes, who is Clara? Let's continue watching to look for more clues.
As the sun sets, so also does another chapter in the saga of love lost between Vlad and his distressed mistress. Can they be reconciled? Can their love rise again? That and more happening now.
Clara, the baby isn't mine.
It is, Vlad. They had trouble catching him in the nursery today.
So what? Lots of kids get hyper and run around and stuff.
They had to knock him out of the air with a broom.
I have to go.
They're going to dock your paychecks.
They can't do that. I'm a vampire. I don't get paychecks.
You worked the graveyard shift at the Fry Me Taco. Don't lie to me.
Oh, the humanity! When will the heartbreak end? When will these two ships passing in the night rekindle their long-lost love? Tune in tomorrow to find out.
This one doesn't add much to my previous theory, except for the detail about Vlad working the graveyard shift. This could very likely be a reference to when Mr. Afton, the killer, worked the night guard/graveyard shift at the FNAF 2 location. Let's go to the next episode.
As the moon rises, so also rises the tension between scorned lovers.
Clara, it's not my baby.
Vlad, you suck.
Wait, was that a vampire joke? That was so lame, Clara. Like I haven't heard that a million times.
Okay, well, how's this? I'm taking the car.
The joke's on you. It's a rental.
Well, the joke's on you. I set the thermostat to 90 before I left.
Good. I like it warm.
Good, because I also set the house on fire.
How will it all end? The passion, the tension, the intrigue. Tune in tomorrow for the exciting conclusion.
There's a lot more fighting between Vlad and Clara, likely pointing towards a rocky upbringing for young Michael. Maybe this fighting is the reason he turned out the way he did, a bully. Let's watch the final episode.
As the trees sway in the wind, so also do emotions sway between star-crossed lovers.
You burned down my house?
You call that a house? It was like a morgue in there.
I may be undead, but you're heartless.
You need to see your son.
The baby isn't mine.
He ate the cat.
Sounds like something he got from your side of the family.
Well, how's this? I'm keeping the diamond ring.
The joke's on you. I found it in a kid's meal.
You bought a kid's meal? Oh, Vlad!
Clara!
As the hair on the back of a cat stands up straight, so also does the love between Vlad and Clara stand up against all obstacles. But what about the baby? What about the back child support? Stay tuned next season for those answers and more.
That's the end of the Immortal and the Restless, at least the end of what we see. Clara uses the word morgue to describe the house that Vlad owns, which is a word that references his nature as a vampire, but could also be in reference to Mr. Afton's several dead children at this point. I'm not sure of the order that the deaths occurred, but the deaths of little brother and little sister could be hanging over the plot here. If the baby is indeed Michael, then it seems like he was already starting to act out at a young age, likely in protest of his parents' constant fighting. At the end, however, the couple make up and we see the two come together again. But what does this all mean? Why include the character of Mr. Afton's wife/girlfriend/mother of his kids this late into the story? What role does Clara serve in the real world? No matter who the characters literally represent, every episode revolves around the idea of a father refusing to acknowledge his own child, while everyone around him begs him to take responsibility for what he's created. Even if I'm wrong on most of my points here, this is a thesis I'd run with. For now, let's look at the secret details hidden in the cracks of this game.
Father, it's me, Michael.
There's only a handful of secrets in this game, so let's go through them quickly. Mini-arenas can be found in the primary control module, in the desk in your living room, and your popcorn bucket very rarely. These are instances that show that the mini-arenas are just as active as any other animatronic, and want to get out just as much, but I wouldn't take these instances as canon. I don't think there's a random mini-arena out there alongside Ennard. A Biddy Bab can be seen in the elevator window on occasion. This shows that the animatronics know that the elevator is the only way up, and have tried perhaps going up before, but only the little ones can do it without injuring themselves, as can be seen when Ennard comes limping into our room when trying to do such an act. On rare occasions, Yendo can replace Funtime Foxy in the Funtime Auditorium during Night 3. This rare Easter egg at least shows us that Yendo is real, and not just a projection of supernatural forces or something like that. Yendo is an endoskeleton stored somewhere in this bunker. The mask of Ennard in the primary control module can be rarely replaced with one of Lolbit. It's got the glowing eyes and everything. This also shows that Lolbit is a real animatronic, in some way. Perhaps just a prototype animatronic that never got made, or a weird misprint of Funtime Foxy's head that is held in storage, just in case. The final secrets are more interesting. Very rarely, a blueprint of one of the animatronics can flash on screen upon booting up the game. Let's go through each of them. The first thing of note here on Funtime Foxy's blueprint, as well as everyone else's, is the copyright of Afton Robotics LLC. This is the company that created these robots, the company that was contracted by Fazbear Entertainment most likely. We see that Foxy has a light activation sensor. This is likely referring to the fact that light can make it calm down, a function Mr. Afton likely put there on purpose in case Foxy ever became aggressive. We also see a function called parental voice sync and replay alongside variable scent release. These are very strange functions. This robot can sync and mimic the voice of parents, as well as release scents that might be alluring to young children, like cake or ice cream. Both of these features seem intent on luring children away, luring children so that they're alone. The last feature is Remote Floor Anchor. See Circus Baby Directory 7. This is something that likely makes the animatronic anchor to the floor, so they're immovable. Why would an animatronic need a function like this? Is it for Mr. Afton's safety, so that if they attack, he can activate an anchor to keep them in place? Or is this something like we heard about in Circus Baby's story, where a specific bit of programming caused her to seize up and be unable to move until the job was done to kidnap a child, and the reason Baby couldn't move was because of the anchor? We know that Circus Baby has this functionality because it's in one of her directories. Circus Baby's first 3 features seem innocent enough. An air hose attachment for balloons, an internal ice cream dispenser for dispensing ice cream, and a song database for playing music. The last feature, Emergency Stop, also seems quite innocent, if we didn't see that emergency stop employed in the fashion we hear about from Baby's story. An emergency stop that made her kidnap a child. Circus Baby is also the largest of the animatronics, at a whopping 7 foot 2 inches, which does give her ample room to hold a child within her. Ballora has an audio activation sensor in her, which we see in action as she can approach things that make sounds, meaning us crawling through her gallery. In reality, this feature was probably used to dance with children making sounds, since Ballora couldn't actually see them. The next feature is labeled Deter and Misdirect Remote Activation, see Circus Baby Directory 7. This is pretty blatantly bad news. Why would Ballora be programmed to deter and misdirect? What need does that serve? Nothing really, besides making sure children go in places where she wants them to go. And this is remotely activated, which means Mr. Afton can operate this feature from the comfort of his home, or the bunker. Again, this is a feature that Circus Baby also shares. The next 2 features, Balance and Stability and Collision Sensor, are likely just features to make sure that Ballora functions properly when around people, and doesn't just ram them or fall over while dancing around. Funtime Freddy's first feature is called Proximity Sensor / Grouping Coordination. This one ties back into the idea of counting children, and recognizing when there is only one in the room, as the opportunity to strike. This is a feature that Funtime Freddy has as well as Circus Baby, to subtly coordinate groups until one child is left alone. The next feature is Parental Tracking / 360 Pivot. This feature is complementary to the first, making sure that no parents are around when the strike is about to happen. The third feature is Voice Mimic / Luring. This one is so blatant. It's Funtime Freddy's feature to mimic the voices of children or perhaps parents to lure children away from the rest of the group. And finally, the last feature, Storage Tank. There's no use written here, but we do see its use in the blueprint itself. If you look closely, you can see a child squeezed inside of Funtime Freddy's stomach, a feature that Circus Baby likely has as well. All of these robots were designed for one purpose, to lure and isolate children, then kidnap them or kill them. But why? Why did Mr. Afton make these decisions? Why did he do this even knowing it would be a threat to his daughter? For that, we must dive into the final theory.
Oh, Vlad!
Clara!
As per usual, I will not be going heavily in depth on things I've talked about in previous videos, so if you're wondering how I came to a certain conclusion, I recommend watching those to see my thought process. With that out of the way, let's get into it. Our story begins with the opening of a restaurant called Fredbear's Family Diner. It hosts the characters of Fredbear and Spring Bonnie, 2 yellow animal mascots that became beloved to the children who saw them. The animatronics used in these restaurants operated via a mechanism called spring locks. These spring locks allowed for the animatronics to be used as autonomous robots during a programmed show, and switched to a wearable suit for employees to embody the character and interact with children. The business was so successful that a parent company was made, Fazbear Entertainment, that owned Fredbear's Family Diner, as well as a new up-and-coming restaurant called Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, with a new cast of characters including Freddy Fazbear, Bonnie, Chica, Foxy, and the Puppet. Around this time, a man named Mr. Afton immigrated from Britain to America and fell in love. Mr. Afton and his lover had a child named Michael. I theorize that Mr. Afton refused to acknowledge Michael as his son for the longest time, before eventually deciding to be a father to him, eventually leading to him having a set of twins with the same woman, a boy and a girl. However, it seems like Mr. Afton was not a good father, nor a good husband, and eventually I think Mrs. Afton left the family, with Mr. Afton acting as a single father. Eventually, Mr. Afton's horrible nature began to bubble into the surface, and he took his anger out on one fateful night. A lone child, stuck outside Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, was killed by Mr. Afton, and he drove away before anyone could connect him to the murder. But at his job at the same building, he began to notice something off about the puppet animatronic. It seemed to move on its own, seemed to act strangely towards him, seemed to be alive, and it had new tear tracks printed on its face. After investigating, Mr. Afton came to the conclusion that would kickstart the rest of the horrible deaths in this story. The puppet animatronic had been possessed by the dead child. Mr. Afton became obsessed with the notion of possession and how it all works. He created a company, Afton Robotics, where he designed robots meant to lure and capture children, his attempt at emulating what occurred with the puppet. He created Circus Baby and Ballora, animatronics built in the images of his daughter and ex-wife. Mr. Afton was ready to go, and implored his children, specifically his daughter, not to go anywhere near the animatronics, as he knew how dangerous they could be. Finally, a small restaurant was opened with Circus Baby and Ballora as the main mascots. But something unexpected happened. The little sister snuck into the room with Circus Baby when no one else was there. Circus Baby's programming kicked in, and the little sister was killed, her body stored inside of the robot's massive body. The little sister has now possessed Circus Baby. Mr. Afton swiftly shut down the restaurant after just a single day and shuttered the animatronics away. But he did learn something. He could replicate animatronic possession. While it wasn't as obvious that the little sister's soul did inhabit Circus Baby, he could tell that it somewhat worked. Circus Baby's eyes had changed from blue to the little sister's green. Meanwhile, life at the Afton home was not going well. Little brother was being relentlessly bullied by Michael, his own birthday party becoming the stuff of nightmares. At Fredbear's family diner, Michael and his bully friends placed the little brother into the mouth of Fredbear, which clamps shut. The little brother did not die in this incident. He's transported to the hospital and is likely in an extended coma. It is here that Mr. Afton decides to fix things, to make sure that his son gets to live. He promises to put the little brother back together. Desperate to prove that his promise to put him back together wasn't impossible, Mr. Afton rushed to repeat the phenomenon he'd already witnessed. At Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, he used the Spring Bonnie suit to lure children away into the back room, and he stuffs 5 of the children into the new animatronic characters of Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, Foxy, and the now decommissioned Fredbear, now called Golden Freddy. The children do awaken as spirits trapped in these animatronic bodies, guided to this new life by the puppet, except for Golden Freddy. Golden Freddy's animatronic bits were basically stripped from him after the bite of 83, so it didn't have the movement capabilities as the others. Mr. Afton saw this and concluded that this specific possession didn't work, and decided to rush his son to fill the gap. The little brother is taken from the hospital to Freddy's by Mr. Afton, and placed within the Golden Freddy suit. Mr. Afton has done everything in his power to fix his son, but he's arrested for his crimes. He is eventually released from his captivity as the evidence of his murders cannot be found. Only footage of someone in a Spring Bonnie suit is located. After the 5 children were murdered, the animatronics began to smell and fester, and the location was shut down for health concerns. Fazbear Entertainment sees the potential of Afton Robotics, and contracts/buys the company to transform it into a rental service, where animatronics can be sent to private parties and back into storage for the following day. A bunker is constructed for these animatronics, and Mr. Afton goes right back to work. He doesn't feel like he has sufficiently saved his daughter yet, so he creates even more animatronics to lure and capture children. It is unknown how many victims these new animatronics had, but at least 3 adults were killed by them. At the same time, Mr. Afton begins to punish Michael, always his least favorite child, and now the reason for the death of his younger son. He sets up essentially a torture chamber for Michael to go through every night, where he is hunted by the nightmare animatronics in his own home, a process that Mr. Afton monitors remotely from the bunker, likely not spending too much time at home. These experiences will haunt Michael's dreams long into the future. After the animatronics in the bunker begin to act strangely, Mr. Afton realized that his life was actually in danger, that the amount of souls rattling around in this place is too much for him to handle. So what does he do? He sends Michael down, now a grown man who looks a lot like his father. He sends Michael down with a mission, to help his sister, to set her free, to do what he couldn't. And so Michael does as he is told, and the events of Sister Location play out. At the end of it all, Ennard is out in the wild, holding little sister's soul, and Michael has died, possessing his own dead body. During the events of Sister Location, Michael begins to put the puzzle pieces together. He begins to understand the depths of depravity his father has dug into. He begins to unravel the horrible deeds he has done. And so, when Michael comes back from the dead, he has one mission: to take down his father. He chases him down to the FNAF 2 location, the second Freddy's to open after the first was shut down. He was too late to stop a second batch of murders from occurring, and was actually bitten by the mangle, completely removing his frontal lobe. This event is called the Bite of 87. However, this isn't enough to kill Michael. He is already dead, so wounds like this won't kill him. He returns the next day, but is fired after the place shuts down following the murders coming to light. Yes, if you missed it, I've changed my mind about the events of FNAF 2 a little bit. Jeremy is still the victim of the Bite of 87, but I now theorize that Michael Afton is also Jeremy Fitzgerald, alongside Fritz Smith. I originally thought these two protagonists to be separate people, but with the advent of Michael's Immortal and Restless soul, the two have become one. He likely changed his name and alias to not concern the people running the restaurant. Jeremy coming back to work after a missing frontal lobe might raise a few eyebrows. A new Freddy's is opened on a shoestring budget, and Michael takes the job as the night guard there under the name Mike Schmidt. But his father is nowhere to be seen. After this restaurant closes, Michael has no other avenues to investigate, no real direction, and so he begins to live in the shadows. Mr. Afton was doing the same, hiding from his own creations as well as his own son. After the third Freddy's was closed for a while, Mr. Afton went back inside, hoping to destroy the animatronics that were hunting him, either for his own safety or for future experiments. But this leads to the spirits trapping him in the back room and leading to his death within the Spring Bonnie suit, getting spring-locked and possessing it to become Springtrap. Years later, an attraction opens up at an amusement park called Fazbear's Fright. It's an exploitative exhibit meant to display the horrors of the unsolved mysteries of Freddy's in the past, and the crew hires a night watchman. That night watchman happens to be Michael Afton. After some searching, the crew finds Springtrap and brings him into the attraction. Father and son, back together again. At the end of the week, after assisting in freeing the souls of the 5 children we see in the Happiest Day minigame, Michael sets the place on fire, hoping to end his father's reign of terror forever. But Springtrap survives the flames, ready to continue living forever. At this point in the story, Ennard, Michael Afton, Springtrap, the puppet, and Golden Freddy are all still out there, somewhere. And that is my final theory about the story of FNAF after completing Sister Location. I still have a lot of questions and loose threads that are laying around, including the mysterious Fredbear plush of FNAF 4, what the deal is with the FNAF 4 house being connected to the Sister Location bunker, what are these other rooms in the breaker room map, is Ballora meant to literally have Mrs. Afton possessing her, is Golden Freddy actually 2 spirits or just 1, and where this story can possibly end up with all of these characters loose in the world. Hopefully, future games can help me tighten up those loose ends. For those of you who stuck around, thank you so much for watching. If you're enjoying this series, I invite you to like and subscribe. Like I said, I actually reached my summer goal of 250 subscribers, so go big or go home. I'm now aiming at 500 subscribers before the end of the summer, so we'll see if that happens. I would love to hear your thoughts, so please comment your thoughts on my theories of your own, corrections, fun facts, or anything you want. My favorite part of making these videos has been interacting with y'all in the comments. The next video will be a bit of a detour from trucking along with the main series of FNAF games, as we will be covering FNAF World, an RPG set in the world of Five Nights at Freddy's. Thank you for watching, and as always, happy learning.